Okay, it's an interesting story that once happened about stealing from, we're learning like stealing taxes when it's illegal, or stealing from companies, things like that, all those things which are biblically forbidden. So years ago there was a thing with El Al, when Bachim would travel to Israel with El Al, and they would have a weight issue. So sometimes they would like put their foot under the suitcase that it shouldn't weigh so much. You know what I'm talking about. Everybody knows what I'm talking about, okay? Yeah, first time, I'm sure. Anyway, so this Bacher, Lubavitch Bacher, I know who the Bacher, he's older than me, so he went, and afterwards it bothered him, because he felt he was stealing from the company. So he wrote into the Rebbe and asked the Rebbe what to do. So the Rebbe told him he should write a letter to El Al, pay the money that he cheated. He should pay the money that he cheated and write a letter of apology to El Al. So he did that. And interesting, El Al wanted from him the letter of the Rebbe. The Rebbe told him what to do, because they wanted to hang it up. That he didn't. I heard the story from his brother, but who lives here, by the way. But he didn't do it. But it's interesting. I never told him you have to write a letter. You have to give back the money that you stole and cheated on, and write an apology letter because he did something wrong. So in all these cases, basically people are not allowed to do anything which is illegal. Then you have the din. The last thing we were talking about the whole time, it's a separate sif in Kitzer, that's called Din Malchus Dina. The law of the land is the land. Now, there's a whole question what happens if Torah says the opposite even in monetary issues. So the bottom line is most poskim rule that even in monetary issues, if the law of the land is what's accepted custom, and then that din stays. Obviously, if they come against Torah, they don't keep Shabbos, don't keep Yom Tov, or whatever, don't do whatever, then obviously you don't listen to them. In Mamonis, the din is din Malchus Dina. But that din, by the way, has a broad aspect to it, because anything that's illegal to do, I'll give you an example. If somebody goes through a red light, they are transgressing Dina de Malchus Dina. The law of the land is you're not allowed to go through a red light. So if they go through a red light, they're actually transgressing Dina de Malchus Dina. It's not Allah, and it's not this Vaad Rabbonim. Shmuel is the one in the Gemara that says it. Dina Malchus Dina. The law of the land, in other words, there's a halachic obligation to listen to the law of the land if it's fair and it's across the board for all people. That's a very interesting concept. Let's say you have a government that says certain people, privileged people, you could do this. For the peasants, you got to do this. So that's not called a legal law of a government, because that's a corrupt government. But if there's taxes, let's say, that are across the board, everybody has to pay the certain tax or whatever it is, then halachically a Jew has to do it. Or whatever the law may be of the land, that you can't do a certain thing. It's not against Torah, so then you have to listen to the land, to the law.
Is there any concept where, like, signing your name or perjury in writing is the same as, like, testifying falsely? Is it basically the same thing?
Signing a paper is worse than verbal, because you're bringing it into action. It's even worse. No, bearing false witnesses, writing. Well, while we're on that topic, it's interesting. According to biblical law, witnesses cannot testify through writing. According to biblical law, the Torah says, "Al pi shnayim edim yakum davar." Has to be mouth. That means if witnesses will write in the time of the Bais Din, Well, today they're makel on this a lot for a lot of different reasons. But if a person years ago would write that they saw the moon, let's say, Kiddush Achai, right? They saw the moon, it's worthless. If somebody sends testimony originally, somebody sent testimony that somebody lent somebody else money, there wouldn't be a valid testimony. The Chachamim came along later, this is already before the Gemara, the time of the Gemara. This that witnesses sign on a document, on a monetary document, the Chachamim said, because of the need of the time and it's monetary issues that the Chachamim have control over, Hefker, Bais Din, Hefker, and a lot of other dinim, so then the din is that Bais Din accepted the written testimony of people. Therefore, you have people sign a loan document, a ksuba, two witnesses sign, right? Either there says al pi shnayim edim, has to be verbal and you're writing it, but it's a monetary document. So Chachamim said, what's the problem with that? Because then nobody's going to want to be a witness. Because I want to testify the way you lend somebody money, yeah? That means anytime you want to schlep me to Bais Din, I'm going to have to come to Bais Din and say schlep, and I'm not interested. So Bais Din allowed, so nobody would ever want to testify. So Bais Din allowed, in monetary issues only, that you can write down your testimony and it's believed. That's what the whole din of shtaris. But you can't, if it's not monetary, it's not a kosher testimony with al-peh. I mean by a biksav. It has to be al-pi shnayim edim. What?
Well, driving when on your light, that's across the board, not allowed.
Or handicap stickers, yeah.
What?
Handicap plaques for teenagers.
They said the other day, well, walking when it's a red light, especially in New York, where everybody does it, right in front of the police, and accepted by them and us.
Jaywalking.
They just passed a jaywalking law in LA, by the way. The cops can't stop you for jaywalking.
It's not a law.
Also for stealing
It's
it.
just an administrative.
Whatever. But the bottom line is they can't stop you anymore for jaywalking.
How often does that?
By the way, who says taka, if jaywalking would be forbidden, let's say, and it's taka forbidden to do, technical halacha Jew would not be allowed to jaywalk. What?
The bus stops, and I noticed this Friday, I see people just entering from the back door without paying. So I asked the driver, what's going on? He said, well, you don't enforce it anymore.
On Shabbat.
That doesn't mean you're allowed to. No, that doesn't mean you're allowed to.
So that was the question.
So you're still not allowed to. They're not. In other words, nowadays, by the way, when people walk into a store and start shoplifting and just walking out, the cops don't, the security are afraid of them. They don't do anything. That doesn't mean you could just walk into a store and steal everything you want. Just because they don't prosecute you doesn't mean it's not illegal.
But isn't there a rule where if it's not prosecuted that?
No.
No, it became the rule of the land.
But it's still stealing.
One second. Let's take halacha for a second. Today, there's no such thing as lashes, malchus, right? We don't have lashes today. So therefore, if somebody eats treif, they're not prosecuted. So therefore, you tell me you could eat treif because you're not going to get prosecuted?
Law of the land.
What?
For the secular law.
No, it does. Just because you're not prosecuted, if the law says you're not allowed to do it, even if you're not prosecuted for it, you're still not allowed to.
The law says yes, you are allowed. You know, if they
Not prosecuting
the
this.
bus driver that is supposed to
Here's
be
a-
police,
talk to these
if
people.
the bus driver that is supposed
Not prosecuting doesn't mean that it's allowed.
Something that's not common.
It's allowed. It's not allowed, but they don't punish you
There's
for
a
it.
difference between prosecutorial discretion
That's it.
and the law that's passed by the legislature. That the prosecutor chooses not to prosecute is not the same as saying that the legislature did not enact
Right,
a
the
law.
law's on the books, but nobody.
It's still forbidden.
It's not enforced.
Halacha is
I
forbidden.
don't know why after a year or 2 years it is not being enforced.
Okay, let's move on. Okay, what?
This is a discussion.
So walking by red light is technically what is it? Jaywalking?
Yes, jaywalking.
If you ask the policeman, can I cross the street on red? What is he going to tell you?
No.
Okay, so then you're not allowed to. What is so? Why is this so complicated?
So if the bus driver says it's okay for you to come in,
He doesn't say it's okay. He didn't say it's okay.
He
No,
says he doesn't have the authority.
he doesn't. He's afraid. You know what? It's pikuach nefesh. He doesn't want to get killed for throwing somebody off the bus. Okay, next. Hilchos niskei mammon. Okay, it's also very practical. You're not allowed to damage somebody, even if your intent is to pay for it. I'm gonna damage your property. I'm gonna, I get angry at you. I'm gonna break something of yours, then I'll pay for it. That's also forbidden to do. You're not allowed to damage somebody's property. Like it says, just like you're not allowed to steal, damaging somebody's property is similar to stealing. And just say by stealing, we learned even if you steal with the intent of giving it back, you just for a joke, you're not allowed to. And therefore, you're also not allowed to indirectly cause damages to somebody. It's called ligreim nezek, to cause damages. I'm not getting into the halachos now, if you're chayiv, if it's grama or garmi, or the machlekes and poskim, but I'm talking again halacha. Halacha is, you're not allowed to even indirect cause somebody a loss. For instance, Kitzur gives an example. Reuven sold merchandise to a non-Jew, and Shimon said to him, it's not worth that much. It's not worth the amount you paid. Even though it's true what he said. It's not true the amount he paid. But the guy agreed to pay it, so it's not stealing. He agreed to pay for it, and now you're coming along and telling the guy, it's not, so what's going to happen? He's going to back out of the deal. So you're causing him a loss of money. And even indirectly, it's forbidden.
With your friend, you can't tell him it's not worth
Huh?
Your friend's making a purchase, you can't tell him it's not worth that much? Just because it's hurting someone else?
No, if it's your friend and you mean to benefit the one that you're helping, yeah. Here it was just to hurt the guy.
Depends on the intention.
A lot depends on the intention, yeah. But sometimes you have a halacha that's called Poter Bedine Adam, V'chayiv Bedine Shemayim. Right? You have the first two plot of Hakainis and Bava Kama. You have it all over Shas. Poter Bedine Adam, V'chayiv Bedine Shemayim means Bais Din cannot obligate you to pay. I'll give you an example. The Mishnah Hakainis says, there's an animal, your animal is locked in the barn. Okay? I come in the middle of the night and unlock the door. And opened the door. Okay? I didn't, and the animal went out and got lost. Or got hurt. Now, I didn't hurt the animal. All I did was indirectly open directly I opened the barn door, and the animal went out. So I didn't damage you directly. So then the din is, your chayav b'din shemai means, in the heavenly court, you better pay for what you did, and you have to ask forgiveness from the person that you did. When you damage somebody, whether the property or the person himself, you have to get the forgiveness from the person in addition to paying up the debt.
Does intent matter?
Intent matters as far as what? Intent, that's a lot of times.
I meant to close the door, and I just didn't close it all the way. It opens. I didn't mean to intentionally unlock the door and let...
Yeah, but you did.
Right, so I'm asking you, it does intent...
No, here the guy, even if intent was to damage the guy.
No, the intent is to close the barn door, but you just didn't do it properly, so it opens back up.
So that, in that case, it's Poter Medine Adam V'chayiv B'din Shemayim.
If your intent is to pay in the heavenly reward, what's the currency you take?
What's the compensation?
What's the currency you take to heavenly reward? If your intent is to pay in heavenly reward, what's the currency?
Let's clarify. Paying in heavenly court doesn't mean when you go up there you pay. From God's perspective, you're not having the courts cannot obligate you to pay. But for you want to be clean between you and God, you got to pay. It doesn't mean when you come up there they take your debts. You know what I mean? It doesn't work like that. There was a rich miser once, never gave tzedakah, but he went up and they told him, you're going to hell because he never gave tzedakah. He says, 1 minute, I'll write a check. So the heavenly court said to him, here we don't take checks. Here we take receipts. Understand? You get me to pay it out. Let me see what you did during your lifetime. If you did during your lifetime, you can do it.